When a new administration takes office in Washington, it's the usual suspects, the Times, what's left of the Post, the Journal, Politico, et al., take it upon themselves to profile the new occupants of important federal positions. And such was largely the case, as usual, when Donald Trump returned to office, even though many of his appointees seem to have come straight out of Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum or Madame Tussauds Hall of Horrors. But the usual suspects were clueless when Elon Musk's team of teenaged or barely out of their teens software writers were set loose to override the government's payment and employment practices at the Treasury Department, the General Services Administration, the Social Security Administration, the Office of Personnel Management, and other such agencies, all working under the auspices of the newly hatched Department of Government Efficiency, better known as DOGE. Mandated by Trump and Elon Musk to whack $1 trillion, or maybe even $2 trillion from government agencies that they didn't like, these teen tyros settled in at the top floor of agency offices, accessed voluminous private accounts, tried to alter some of those accounts, and discharged any number of public servants who persisted in trying to keep those accounts private, or agencies that had been funded by congressional appropriation and folks who wanted to keep them from being defunded. To the complete surprise of the media's usual suspects and pretty much everybody else, it was Wired magazine that rose to this occasion by figuring out just who these Musk and Peter Thiel former interns were, what experience or lack of experience they were bringing to their new gigs, and where and with what impact they were running amok, interviewing more than 150 high-level civil servants and the newbie musketeers to the degree that they could get them to talk, and people who knew the newbie musketeers before, even though their lives were relatively short and therefore a limited number of people knew them. Wired ran a series of in-depth articles beginning just 3 weeks after the inauguration that introduced us to members of this wrecking crew, one of them a 19-year-old who, rest assured, had graduated high school, and others who were altering payment data, laying off the entire staff of agencies like USAID, and still others forbidding the use of government credit cards for government expenditures, pretty much at every agency except the Pentagon. These articles were riveting, if appalling, reading, and they epitomized really Wired's transformation from its origins as a kind of tech house organ for Silicon Valley to a critical and critically important reporter on the tech industry as it looms over, as we can all attest, every facet of modern life. Here today to accept this award, we have, this was pretty much an all-hands-on-deck project, I gather. We have Wired's editor-in-chief, Katie Drummond. We have Leah Feiger and Tim Marchman. And I'm happy to say that I'm going to present this year's Hillman Prize for magazine journalism to them and to Wired.
It's really, really delightful to be here, and we are really grateful and we are really honored. I did want to just acknowledge Tim Marchman and Leah Feiger, who led our DOGE coverage, and they were instrumental in every single piece of reporting that we published on this subject last year. I'm talking 3 a.m., I'm talking where did that half bottle of whiskey go that was in my office last night, you guys? Tim drank it. But if you read any of that coverage, you know that every single story often ran with 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 bylines. It was really a newsroom-wide effort to cover what was happening. And I'm just proud to be accepting this award on behalf of the entire team at Wired. And I think if you knew them even half as much as I do, you would not have been as surprised as everybody was when we started breaking these stories, because they make me so proud and so grateful to be in charge of Wired in this moment every single day. Speaking of days, DOGE feels like a really, really long time ago. A lot has happened since DOGE. The reality, though, is that many of the consequences of the DOGE effort are still very much felt inside of government agencies. They are felt across this country. They are felt around the world. Many will be difficult or impossible to unwind, and many DOGE operatives still work for or with the federal government in some capacity. They are still in there, and I think that's very important for everyone to recognize. But what DOGE represents to us at Wired fundamentally is what we think is the defining story of this era. And it's a story that needs to be told every single day in as many ways as possible. It is the story of technology executives, oligarchs, self-anointed kings, whatever you want to call them, who already control virtually everything and are trying to control even more. You see it in who's behind the super PACs that are funneling millions of dollars into midterm races. You see it in the Trumpian tilt of everyone from Mark Zuckerberg to Sam Altman. You see it in who owns our media outlets and our media companies and what they do with them and what they don't do. This bid for unequivocal control and the technology industry's efforts to do that in collusion with the current federal administration of this country. DOGE is emblematic of that movement, but its reaches are far beyond DOGE, and it is ongoing every single day. That is the animating principle informing what Wired does now and how we do it. And there is no shortage of work to be done. So what I would ask and what I will close with is whether you're a journalist in this room, an activist, a media executive, a business leader, or just a reader, a viewer, a listener of journalism, keep doing the work, keep paying for the work, keep finding ways to fund the work. Unchecked, the Elons and the Jeffs and the Sams and the Marks of the world can get away with a lot. Let's not let them. Thank you.